hit that volume over now.
He
On that
tweaked.
second button. Yeah, turn it from on.
You need I read? You want I read?
I guess so. That means this work too. I didn't.
I read?
Tax
I
experts
put it
remove
like
wage
that.
garnishment sometimes in
glad.
the same day. We even have reduced the total debt some of our clients were required to pay through what is known as an offer in compromise.
Can you give us an example of somebody you helped?
Oh, can I ever? We have taken a $500,000 liability with the IRS.
860
Guess what?
AM, WAEC, Atlanta.
The following programming is brought to you by B.O.O.M Radio. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that. Here comes the, here comes the, here comes the, y'all don't really want it like that.
Boom, boom. Gotta get. Gotta
I'm gonna
get.
be riding. That is still be riding though. I ain't gonna lie.
Shoot your head down.
My, as they say.
Boy, you sound like Johnny Gill over there.
We back in the building, everybody. What's going on? This is B.O.O.M Radio in the building, none other than with the Dr. William Brown and Elder Eric and Minister Casey.
What it do?
Yo, the B.O.O.M family. What's going on?
Shalom,
We're
shalom.
Here, and the place to be is 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in ATL, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a beautiful Sabbath day that the Most High has made.
Come on, man.
Joyful about it. Hallelujah.
And we are gonna continue to be glad in it.
That's right. That's right.
Hallelujah.
Why Elder, like he just got off a snowmobile, man?
You know he's from Wisconsin, right? He like it cold up there.
You know, doggone well, it ain't cold down here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
As they say, Kanye's
It was a week ago.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, that weekend was colder than the polar bear's toenails.
Hey man, I looked up there, it was like negative 30 with the wind chill, but that thing was
What's
cold. But I was like, ain't nowhere in the world. Down here in Georgia, it was what about 12 degrees. That thing
it was
felt
still frigid.
boy,
That
look
was
at him. I'm like,
With that windshield, it had been like -2, -3.
man,
It was so cold that I went to pick up some chicken. Had to go back to the house for some. Ran to the house, left the car parked outside. Went in, maybe stayed in the house maybe 10 minutes. Came back outside. The battery had done locked up. Just that fast.
See that's right. See.
Had it called a neighbor get jumped.
But see what that was. Shalom, everybody. What's going on? Everybody on YouTube checking in. What's going on? Chashia Israel. What's going on? To the good brother Elephant Man podcast. What's going on, Lakeisha Lively? See what happened there. See that chicken unclean.
No. See,
That's why that car was
See, you eisegeting the text. As they would say, let me exegete the text. God knew that they needed just a little bit more time to get the chicken a little crispier. So he delayed. My delay was not necessary or denial. I felt my Baptist did.
That was going on. What's going on, bro? What's going on
Wayne.
with you, Wayne? How you doing, man?
Yes, sir. I'm all straight and well. How y'all is?
Hey, but that thing is serious. But they got a mask on
I think
on
Wayne
the
did
microphone.
that. I think Wayne did that.
I didn't do this.
I don't know.
This was like that
I
before I got here.
know. The reason I say that because I came to work. What Wednesday was? I think it was last Sunday, and it was on there. I remember Wednesday. I was like,
Hey, boy,
that looked like some Wayne would do.
Hey, they ain't playing, but hey, they serious about that thing.
Or it probably was, maybe it was Miles or
But,
anybody
yeah.
else, because, everybody taking the mass date serious. You got to take it serious up here.
All right. I mean, we are in close quarters.
Yeah,
you
I
understand?
got you,
But we
you know.
still walk in faith and not fear.
Oh, yes, we are fighters and we are survivors.
That's right. Shout out to all the brews that's tuning in. LD, how the family doing, man, up in Wisconsin, man?
And everybody good as far as I know. But, man, getting over that cold spell. I know why they call it a cold spell. Good
Yeah.
God, it might be able. Everybody
It
good.
put you to sleep, all right? Don't
Hey,
want to
man.
do nothing.
So I guess today, man, I want to jump in and talk about we kind of split this up, sometimes with the show. But definitely those out that are tuned in feel free to call in and share your thoughts on the show today. The phone number is in the description of the YouTube live, or actually on the title of the YouTube. The phone number is 404-355-8699. So if you can't get that while I'm saying it, all you got to do is back out of your YouTube. You know, if you inside the YouTube and look at the title of the YouTube, and then the telephone number is there. We would love to hear from you on your thoughts and the subject matter of today. I guess, since the world is already still talking about it, the brother from Buffalo came through. It was,
Hallelujah.
hallelujah.
Hallelujah. You
Yeah,
need to get some
hallelujah
hand
to
claps
the
for
Most
that
High.
one, Wayne. Yeah.
And that was a serious thing. And the beautiful thing that I see about that, even though the system itself in the way the NFL is, and it's a corporation, it's a business, it's business, the shield and the business first over the persons, even though they try to make it seem like the person's over the business.
Because we have investors.
Yeah, but I would say that this particular situation, uh, it's those moments sometimes when things happen to where it can cause people to move more into the presence of prayer.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
And this was a situation where, man, even it's bad and serious to where a network like ESPN.
ESPN, they praying on ESPN.
Yeah, but this
was
was the thing. This was so crazy about it. The brother who did it didn't care what ESPN thought. You see what I'm saying? It's one of the moments where it's like, you know what? It's like he's like, I don't know if this is appropriate. I don't even care about the rules or whatever.
Right.
I don't care about no separation of church and state. I don't care about none of that. Hey, brother, I felt the need to pray for this man on television.
This is one of those moments with one of our greatest callers, brother Eric with an A. He would call them. He would say something like this: "That brother is not a quasi-Christian." I mean,
right?
For somebody to do something like that, that means that you know something, because you move with the faith that was inside of him to pray.
Right. Well, I think
to the point that you said, not even worrying about who cared. How many people say they're going to pray, but not really pray, even in that situation?
Right.
Yeah. It was one of those things where it was so heartfelt. Just people at the time, man, it was just so heartfelt in how the situation happened. It's like, it was just one of them things, because we haven't, in a long time, you haven't seen a player die on the field.
I've never seen an ambulance on the field like that. Or
something like that, and for that to happen, and then they kept showing the replay you see those type of tackles all the time. That was a soft tackle.
It wasn't even really violent.
Right, it wasn't violent. Now, I've seen him hit players harder than that, and him get up and walk away, But for him to tackle him that way, and then for him to stand up, and then you could tell it wasn't one of. And I've seen players when they trying to pull a injured timeout, to stop the clock. He fell back like a tree.
You
man.
saw his arms disco stiff, like that's how you felt. You felt unconsciously.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You was like somebody get hit in the ring. You get caught with one, and they go out.
Yeah.
You catch them in the right spot. Yeah.
Yeah, callers, give us a call. We want to hear your thoughts about this. 404-355-8699. Today is the subject matter. One half of the show, we'll be discussing that. What was your thoughts about that, Elder Eric? Did you see the replays? And I didn't get a chance to see the whole game. I just heard about it.
I didn't see any of I didn't see anything. I just heard. Yeah, I just heard people saying, pray for him. That's all I kept seeing on social media was, pray for this football player who had just, had passed out on the field. So
yeah, it took me a while to actually. I saw the people on the field praying, and then I saw them cut away to the news, and so I'm standing in the kitchen. I said, "Oh, what's going on?" And I was trying. They kept talking about a hit, but they wouldn't show it.
Yeah.
So I think I maybe waited later on and maybe caught it on YouTube. They actually, show what I'm like, what happened to him to get in that state? I'm glad they didn't, because of the nature of it, show it again. But That was crazy.
I remember watching long time ago.
Shalom, Elder Ramsey.
When Bo Jackson, you remember when when he broke his leg and they kept showing that over.
I remember when
the basketball player.
I remember when Joe Theismann got his leg broke by Lawrence Taylor. You know, and they kept showing that over, and it's like the whole leg snapped.
Right.
Man,
because
right,
you know why? It makes for good media.
Well,
I mean, it makes for good media.
Well, around that time, you didn't have the ability to have the capabilities and technology they have now to like censor something immediately, like the censor. You know, now this stuff in real time. They have it, man. It's so technologically advanced to where they can censor something immediately, and they can get the word out so fast about not playing it, and then they can control everything. What in whatever location they're set up in.
Gotcha.
So now you didn't have to worry about calling back to New York to say, hey, censor this, and they got to try to edit it real quick. They could be in any city, wherever they set up at, and boom, they're able to handle those things.
Even in that particular arena.
That's what I'm saying. You
probably
just
set up somewhere.
The way technology is, and I think that's the focus. I don't want to kind of get off the subject, but the way that this world is going, this shows you, and at the same time, it also shows the priority of how prayer is kind of on the back burner of things, because we can institute something when it comes down to prayer. Nobody's being politically correct about it.
Well,
you know, whenever certain situations happen.
Yeah, I get what you're saying,
what I'm saying?
So you think that this is a good opportunity to relook at that, because we have to be, not to change the subject, but we have to understand, because Brother Bernard brought it up today. We got a 6-year-old boy that went in and deliberately shot his teacher. Was he 8 years old? Wherever he was a child.
Yeah.
Prayer out of school.
Yeah.
Things got worse to me after prayer was taken out of school.
Right, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So if we're going to reinstitute that, is this a good opportunity to maybe revisit that?
I think that the ways, the Elder, you can jump in here whenever you're ready. I think that we're too far removed from certain things being normal. Like at one point in time, prayer was a normal thing. It was normal for someone to say God bless you.
Right.
It was normal for someone to just, to say, we were talking today, we was, doing the teaching about Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. And you had people that would say Merry Christmas around Christmas time. Well, and now today it's offensive to even say Merry Christmas, even though we know the origin of these things. But because Christ's name is mentioned somewhere in there, people have been offended.
Happy holidays.
So now it's happy holidays, season greetings, right, and these type of things, or Happy New Year, whatever like that. So I think we're kind of removed, but I think that the Most High Yah has a way of bringing us back to get us to focus there, but also at the same time that a lot of things can be healed if prayer was the main priority of things, even in our own personal life.
That's right.
I think that that's something that's very important that we need to look at. And I think individually, that's something that we all need to revisit ourselves. Am I doing enough in my personal life, prayer-wise, to pray for not only my family, but pray for those that are around me?
Somebody in Walmart.
Absolutely. So I think we all have to have the responsibility to be able to do that. Pray. I think prayer is a major key, and down the stretch, it's going to be very important.
Amen.
Coming down the stretch. Yeah.
Yeah, that word say that we shall always pray. It say always be in prayer and supplication.
That's right.
It's, it's the communication to the Father. That's how we are able to communicate with Him that we are in need. And He wants us to voice those things. So
right. Closed mouth don't get fed, right?
Right. Closed mouth don't get fed. He said, make it known. Even though He knows everything, He wants us to speak certain things. So just like He had the power to speak, He also have given us the power to speak life. He says, death and life is in the power of the tongue. And so if that starts with prayer. Yeah. Absolutely.
Amen. Go ahead.
I'm about to say, even as a father, it for me, and Bishop, you may be at the testing as an elder. I get a good feeling, when my child asks for something and I can provide it for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And especially when they on their P's and Q's and they got a desire for something and I can bless them.
Yeah.
That the one that make you feel good when your kid is doing everything you tell him to do. And he has a desire, man. Even if it's I want the new, the new iPod or whatever.
Like it's yours, yeah.
You want to do that, and you want to see the adulation and the love and the light up in the kids' eyes. You want to see that. The Father wants the same for us.
Yeah, amen. I don't want to, brother. You about to say something in the mic back there? Okay, you good. All right. So I guess, hey, let me get out the number one more time before we switch gears here. 404-355-8699. If you want to call in and share your thoughts about what we were just discussing, as we continue to shift, we're going to shift the conversation to this. Have all of you seen Emancipation with Will Smith?
I have.
Yes.
You saw Emancipation?
Yes.
Saw Emancipation?
I'm sorry, what you mean by emancipation?
What's
What's going on with him?
He hasn't seen it yet.
He hadn't seen it.
Will Smith has a movie out called Emancipation, which was on what's with Netflix, right? Was it Netflix?
On Netflix.
Oh,
Okay.
was it? Oh, yeah.
Either
It slipped my mind. I didn't even pay attention. So I remember he was with playing Serena and Venus Williams' dad in that movie. I gotta see that movie.
That was a pretty good movie too.
I still haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that one either. The Serena, when he played Serena and Venus's dad, and now this Emancipation film. I wonder what's that about. Thank you for bringing it to my memory. Hopefully, I can check it out.
Yeah, check it out.
I encourage everybody to go see it.
Everybody, check it out and go see. I mean, of course, there's all these different slave movies and things like that. But we want to hear your thoughts. If you saw the movie, you want to share what was coming to the lows, the highlights of it. I'll say this: the good, the bad, and the ugly of the movie.
Man, I thought I would never see the day that Will Smith would play a slave.
Wow.
Never. It's just not. I just don't imagine him. Playing that role. Yeah, it didn't even seem like something he would do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, hey, Will Smith. He played all different kinds of roles.
Yeah, I think this particular role would be a role that he has never played.
Yeah, he never played a role like that.
It's like an icing on the cake.
Right.
So now, but here's the thing, and this is
after the slap.
See, boy, listen, that's what I'm saying. You already know. You already know what my spirit was at.
I was trying not to go to the slap. Okay, yeah. I was trying not to go to the slap.
You can't mention Will Smith without mentioning that slap. Yeah. No more.
Okay,
I don't think he did a great job of acting in this movie. I loved it. I loved the emotional roller coaster that I went on.
What was different in this movie as a slave than any other? Somebody Elephant Man podcast said yes is an apology. I forgot. I couldn't see what I missed it. He said something about an apology after the slap. Apology movie after the slap.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
I'm feeling you on that one.
404-355-8699 is the number. Call in. 404-355-8699 is the number. What you finna say, Minister Case?
I mean, other movies are kind of accurate too. Depends on who's written the movie and who's gotten the right to produce it. Because I know sometimes that can be red tape into acting out the quote unquote truths in the movie based on hidden and want to hide information. So if I want to put a narrative out there, then sometimes I can be censored based on the information.
So is this movie different from any other slave movie?
In theme, no, because slave movie is just that. It's under the umbrella of a slave movie. However, this one hit a little bit different.
It did.
Okay, what was that?
To see just the hunt.
Right. Like
to actually see, it almost felt like I was running with him. I'm gonna be honest. It felt like I was running with him. It felt like I was there with him. I mean, when I tell you I went on an emotional roller coaster, Holy Spirit, I ain't gonna cuss, but I mean, some emotions went through me where, I was ready to throw some pillows and pick up some stuff, and like I'm with you on this here, bro. Because matter of fact, I posted a post after that, and it'll really tell you how I felt. When I posted that, I said, "Don't you ever mention about your struggles. Don't tell me about your struggles ever again." You feel what I'm saying? Your struggles can't even compare. Whatever number you want to put out there, it don't even compare. The just the whole wickedness.
Yeah.
That was some straight wickedness that I saw. And it was on a whole different level. I mean for real. Even from looking at some movies that like Mississippi Burning, that had some quote unquote, Klan scenes in it. That didn't even hit like this one.
Yeah. Rosewood.
Right?
Yeah.
It didn't hit like this one. And maybe because it could have been because it was a new movie. Maybe could have because it was Will Smith. Or maybe could have been that the makeup job that they did on his back looked just like that photo.
I mean, because this movie, is it any better than the guy from 12 Years a Slave or Jamie
12 Years a
Foxx?
Slave was a good movie.
It
was.
Yeah, that was a powerful
And
movie.
Jamie Foxx,
was.
I love this movie. I know it's a lot of stuff going on, but Jamie Foxx and Django.
I like
Django,
I like Django.
But to me, Django was more comedic.
More on a comic level.
Yeah, this was more of a serious movie.
Slap in your face.
I'm trying to think and I know we get tired of the slave movies, so I'm trying to just compare other slave movies. What was your good, bad, and ugly of the movie?
I thought the movie. I thought it was very interesting. I thought it was good and well put together. But the thing I liked the most about the movie is the part that they put in there dealing with his faith. The faith he had in God, despite the situation that he was going through. And you had other slaves in that movie that was going through the same thing, and they how they were saying, how you believe in a God and this guy got us going through this, and this is the same thing we see today.
That
scene right there hit so hard, boy.
Yeah, man.
But like he said, man, I hate to be a movie spoiler, but this scene was so powerful, man. But it's just like today when you run into people who don't believe in God and they haven't experienced the power of Him. And so for just him to go through that thing and make it through it, you knew that the Most High was with him all the way.
And his family.
Yeah, and his family. Absolutely.
But think about his wife. And again, I know brother, he hasn't seen it yet, but he'll get these spoilers. He just gonna.
Yes, I'll probably watch the trailer and there's a movie website I can look at, so I'll probably check it out on there.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Or what about Roots?
But I mean, and see, we're gonna. I'm gonna share that, and I want to do. Let me talk about his wife first.
Oh wow.
And I think to talk about what families would do to stay together. Like,
right.
His wife was willing to put her arm. In a machine.
Come on.
Right.
Man, let me.
Come on now.
Listen, bro.
You got to put your bishop hat on right now. Teach.
Right.
Listen, bro. I'm trying to be Radio Brown. I ain't trying to be Dr. Brown. I'm trying to.
Well, you got to be all thing to all men that we may win.
Yeah, man. I'm like, man, y'all. Like, think about this. This is some real stuff. Like, we around here, none of us have had to do that.
Scriptures even say that we hadn't been resisted unto death. We ain't been persecuted unto death.
Unto death.
The mother, their mother
Sacrifice.
Was about to get sold. In order for her to stay with her children, she had to risk and sacrifice putting her arm in a cotton gin machine and tell her child to push the button.
Right.
Ooh.
Think about that.
And the child obeyed.
The child didn't want to do it though.
But understood.
Right. We got to do it. We got to go to these measures in order for us to stay together.
They
Ain't
built
none
that
of
faith.
Let me tell you, y'all on YouTube talking
Come
that
on,
stuff.
talk.
Ain't nobody. Y'all on the radio. Ain't none of us had to go through that level of sacrifice to stay with our children.
Well, hold on. If you have, call in, let us know.
If you have, call in, let us know. Please let us know.
I mean, if, I don't want to just say you haven't.
This
Because
mother
I don't know.
willing to chop her arm off.
She did.
Like, what we talking about? Come on now. I mean, come on, man. Listen, what our ancestors went through.
Come on.
Let's not act and talk like we've experienced and endured that.
Right. All right.
It's just not true, man.
I always say, God, I thank the Father that He didn't give me the grace to be born
in that time. I'm telling you.
I ain't even talking about the 60s. Let's talk about 63, 64, 65. Bring it up to date for someone that's still living.
We all were born in the time that we supposed to be born.
That's the grace.
Because the Most High already know we not equipped for that.
We not equipped. We wouldn't be.
Folks can say whatever they want to say.
Sir.
You not equipped to go through the transatlantic slave trade.
No,
That's
sir.
why you was born now.
Yes, sir.
Man.
I'm telling you straight up. So others have sacrificed and gone through so that we wouldn't have to go through that.
Right.
Because we wouldn't, I'm telling you, we wouldn't have been able to handle that, man. Killing yourself, throwing yourself overboard with your child in your arms, throwing yourself overboard because you going to a foreign land and all this other. Man, we say we want to say folk can talk all that junk. They want to talk about how gangster and bold they are. No.
Now, in all honesty,
I see how y'all fold when y'all get fired off your job. Anyway, I'm done. Go ahead, y'all.
Because we living in this great city of Atlanta, it would be a disgrace if we did not mention the fact that the struggle that Mr. Martin Luther King did in this great city. It was a lot of. I'm just saying.
Don't mention King name with these brews.
Okay.
Well, we on a Christian station. Okay. But I'm talking about the one tuning in.
I don't care.
They don't show no respect for King. They just don't.
Whatever they say, he was a God sent.
Right.
Whatever you say, God used that man
on the line.
Whatever you say, God used him. Had not been for him, a lot of stuff that we probably wouldn't. That kicked off a whole lot of stuff. So you better pay some homage to him.
They say he was an agent, man.
Come on, you better pay some homage to Esau too, because Esau could have killed Jacob and his family when he came back trying to bribe him. That coward when he sent his family out there to go see him first. Right. I'm just saying, Esau could have killed him, right?
Yeah.
So we need to. Same thing. Come on, man. Dr. King, it was a lot of people that went through in this great city of Atlanta that suffered for not on that extent that she did as far as that, but a lot of people did put their lives on the line to walk with Dr. King.
Yeah. Black and white. Right.
And all, I mean, they may not have been as, on that sacrifice, but the sacrifice was still there.
So I'll say this. That's one of the highlights. In comparison, my highlight for me, and I get it. We're talking about the going. Okay, I get it. We're talking about going through, being the hunt. My highlight for me was finally. It's been over 30 years since we've seen a movie that featured black soldiers.
Right. Okay.
That was the highlight for me.
All right.
When Will Smith made it to Baton Rouge and them brothers saved him, and they was like, hey, he was so happy to see brother. He would blow. He never seen free brothers with weapons.
Come on.
Like what? Come on. So caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, welcome to the B.O.O.M Radio Show. Let us know what's your name. Where you calling from? What you got to say?
It's Eric calling from Cleveland.
We don't want to hear nothing about your perpetual state of struggle either.
Don't ask. Don't ask. I won't tell you.
That's good.
What's up, big brother?
We just as equipped today as they were then to have gone through the transatlantic slave trade.
You think so, Eric? Come on now, Eric. Come on now.
The human body and will has not changed overall.
I don't know, Eric. I don't know that. Now, I know him to rock with you, Eric, on something, but I don't know, man. Some of these jokers, they get fired off their job, man. They lose their mind. They jump off a building.
There was a lot of folks back then that did those types of things too.
No, we had no job to lose. Your only job was picking cotton.
I actually think the time period that we born in, a lot of stuff we become accustomed to. So we've been spoiled by a lot of things. Just like Eric said, like you never know what you'll do until you actually get put in that situation to do it. That's what I believe. Until
Actually-
we actually get backed into a corner, you have no idea what you actually do or what's in you, because you, like they say, pressure bust pipes. Right.
One
There's
sister on
enough-
YouTube said we deal with mental distress. Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, man.
There's enough historical reference of the human race to know that there's enough of us. There's plenty of us that could have gone through that without a doubt. There's enough historical reference, and there's also enough historical reference that we could do more than what they did, because our technology and our understanding of self now is so strong that we could face it before it gets to us and just brace. Where they didn't have a chance to brace for it because it was up on them so quickly.
Eric,
man,
let me,
I ain't with that.
Let me say this real quick, Eric. Let me ask you this question. Do you think Pee Wee and Nuck Nuck, do you think that they snitching on, they can't even stand talking about going to jail, man.
Come on, man.
Eric, they talking about they can't even stand going to jail. They snitching on everybody. They telling on grandma.
They leaving tonight, boss.
They telling on everybody, Eric.
They ain't the majority.
Gotta love him, right?
Eric always gotta come back. He always gotta come back.
It's the truth, man.
It's the
They're
truth.
not the majority. If they were the majority, there wouldn't be as many of us out here.
Yeah, but Eric, they leading most of the majority.
Huh?
They leading with the influence
No,
that
they
they
are not.
have. Yeah, come on, yes they are.
What are you talking about?
Come on, man. Think about it.
You, Casey?
Think about it. No. Think about it. Come on, man. Think about the influence that individuals have.
Okay, hold on. So let's do this, Eric. I want to know what was your, because of course I know you saw the movie, right?
I did.
Okay, so let me ask, because I asked a couple of questions. I don't know if you would listen to the show.
I also know the background of the historical facts on the movie. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So what was let's start here first. What was your good, bad, and ugly of the movie?
The bad was it was so normalized that it was allowed that could happen. That was the bad. It was just so normalized, man. You know, the good was he moved to a life of dignity to defend for the people that he would never see, us.
Preach.
That was the good. There isn't a whole lot of, his real name is Gordon. You know that.
Yeah.
Okay. There isn't a lot of whole historical facts on what he did with his life after his military service time, but there's plenty of historical facts on people that fought in that war. There were freed slaves, runaway slaves, freed slaves by purchase, and what they did with their lives moving forward. I'm a descendant of one of them. You know, so there's plenty of history on that. But him as an individual, that was pretty much all I got from the good and the bad of the movie. You know, I've seen the real picture. I'm sure you've seen it too.
Yeah.
And it was just it's just so normalized, man.
Explain that, what you mean by normalized, so people out there know what you're talking about, like me.
That you could purchase a white person, black people too, for that matter. Some black people own some slaves, but a white person could purchase somebody and treat them like a disobedient piece of cattle.
Right.
Beat them, not feed them. Andrew Jackson, the former president, Andrew Jackson's second man was a slave. You know, that was they kept like guys that were they slaves that worked as butlers and cooks and things like that for them. Andrew Jackson, it's historical references about how he used to get down with his slave man's wife. Like,
wow.
for what? Normal.
Yeah.
Come here, wench.
Yeah.
So that's the ugly part of it, because when I saw that, I thought about all the other evils that I know about ownership of people and what people could do. And it was just like, well, you know, you belong to that person. They do what they want to do with you. When you and your slave woman have a daughter, she get 12, get her too.
Well, the whole point about they didn't even consider us as human. That's why they didn't. Their minds were conditioned to think or to understand or to come to an understanding that anybody that looked like us are not human. We are just like we are no different than that dog right there. Matter of fact, that dog scene. Remember, he said, "Give me." He said, he said something slick to Will Smith. He said, "Well, even the dogs I want to taste some of your meat. Remember at the end?
Yeah.
So he considered him, but I want you to beg for it, crawl for it. You're not human, so of course.
I'm gonna tell you something. If you read enough history about the truth of these people that owns people, you'll find that most of them really didn't believe that our people weren't human. And there's some clear references to show that that's true.
That's not the majority, Eric.
No, the majority of them believed that we were human. What they wanted to do was convince our people that they were less, but they never really believed we weren't. Because if that was true, they would have been committing bestiality by raping all those black women. They weren't out there having sex with horses and dogs.
Yeah, they were.
Well, I'm saying in general, there's still people that's doing stuff like that, but you know what I mean in general. And lots of them went on after they moved on with that particular business arrangement and worked with them because they had trained them to be capable people, inside their white society. So most of them didn't really think that. But the intention was to get you to think that about yourself.
Did they
That's
succeed?
how it worked, but they didn't really believe that.
Did they succeed?
There was a vice president that had a black wife. Van Buren's vice president, his last name was Johnson. He had a black wife, and he killed a few people for testing his marriage.
Wow.
So it wasn't really like that for the most part. But that's how it works to today too. If I could get you to think that you're less, whether I'm a white person trying to get you to think you're less, or another black person who just wants to get over you, then that's the move right there.
So Eric, you think it's more so about our mindset and mentality to have us kind of in the rut that we in versus what they're doing? You think it's more so about us thinking less of ourselves? That's why we don't appreciate each other. That's why we killing each other. That's why we doing all these things. Do you think that that's the issue?
Yep. And what you said today is evidence of that. This is not a cheap shot at you.
Yeah.
Don't think it's a cheap shot. No, it's not. When you said with firm belief, we're not equipped to deal with that.
Well,
we're more equipped to deal with that.
Yeah, no, and the reason why I made that statement is because I'm looking at a lot of these young, and I'm talking about these young cats, the ones that's
millennials.
You talking about pressure? It ain't even really no pressure. And I'm like, yo, man, you folding, you snitching on that. You can't even do your own time.
And like situations.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about everybody. I'm just saying when I'm talking about this generation. Huh?
That is a very small segment of our population. A very small segment. Most of our population is so strong of mind and character that they're working to improve the numbers of our upper middle class and wealthy classes. There are more of them that are more culturally sensitive to our own history. You got to stretch your mind, man. Don't fall for some small snapshot of what's going on amongst our people. Look at the broad scheme of things. They're killing each other at a much lower rate than our group was when we were in our 20s. What do you say to that?
You think so?
Nah,
I don't know, Eric.
Eric.
I know so.
I gotta look at the numbers on that, man.
Depends on when you were in your 20s.
Check the facts.
Hold on, Eric. I'm not asking your age, but it all depends on when you were in your 20s. Okay, we same age then. Now, we wasn't killing like that in my 20s.
Oh,
we weren't. Listen.
The murder rate in Atlanta when you were 21 was higher than the murder rate is today.
Yeah, but okay, now the murder rate may have been.
What are you talking about?
But we don't. Do you have the numbers behind who's perpetrating these murders?
But I'm talking about black on black crime.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to see some numbers on that one.
Not just murder, but legal killing.
Well, you know what? And to some extent, I would sit here and say that I would agree to a certain extent without looking at the numbers, is because in our era, the crack epidemic was
okay.
When crack hit.
Yeah. Use that as an example right there. There are a lot of folks that would say, well, shoot, those dummies were using crack back then. Look at how weak we were.
Well,
that's why they were killing each other. And in 91, they were having more abortions at a higher rate than they are today.
In the 70s, they were smoking a lot of weed in the 70s.
That's legal killing.
Heroin in the 60s. So what you're saying? It's still, and so what? I mean, ain't nothing changed, Eric. We still doing the same old cycle. Look at us from the 60s. Do this. Look at us from the 60s. Mm-hmm. Look at blacks from the 60s. we were heavily in the heroin scene.
Still are.
Like in the forefront. Heroin was like the forefront. 70s, cocaine, and marijuana.
But cocaine, we wasn't really dealing with cocaine because white folks were dealing with it. Rich folks were dealing with cocaine.
There was some, there were some players that was dealing with it too. But then weed, then now you got crack in the 80s. I don't know what they did in the 90s. Ecstasy, I guess, was in the 90s.
No, ecstasy was later on.
But it still comes down to the same thing. We're talking about a small group of a larger group. Yeah, there were a lot of black folks using heroin in the 60s, but the vast majority of black people were not using no heroin. There are a lot of black folks dealing cocaine.
Bumpy Johnson, but them Bumpy Johnson liquor, now the liquor mine, but them Bumpy Johnson drugs. Come on, Ed, we got too much historical data.
Hold on. So let's wheel this thing back in real quick. So let's get back to the movies. The movie. Because, Eric, when you start getting at Eric Lane, he get passionate. Then he starts
history, but
he's like, I'm the expert here in this area.
Not so much that, but I know what the accurate assessment of the facts are when I'm talking. I know the difference between proof and evidence.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
So Eric, I said for me, the highlight of it is the last movie I've seen where it depicted black soldiers was like Glory, if I'm not mistaken. So there was a highlight for me when I saw him make the Baton Rouge and see those brothers, and the brothers had, to me, I don't think he's seen brothers in that position before. So that was kind of a highlight of the movie for me versus most of the other slave movies. They never really get to that part of showing, the war. And I'm pretty sure I understand that some of that probably played a role in Gordon's life, the little bit of information that we have about him. So that to me, that was the highlight of everything. I know the pursuit and him fighting, through the swamp and the other guys and the other on the run. But I think to me that was the highlight.
Now, let me ask a question. The two gentlemen that took the picture, what kind of information do we have on them? They
were abolitionists.
Hear what I'm saying? Did they profit from that picture?
Did they what?
Did they profit from that picture?
Maybe.
I guarantee that wasn't the only one. That probably been the catalyst, but they probably did some more.
I thought they said their family was trying to fight to get rights to it, and whatever. That's at least that's what I heard.
Was that they took that picture to further expose the indignity, the foulness that happens to slaves. That was my understanding, because those were abolitionists. And Harper's Bazaar is where the picture ultimately ended up. They did the same thing. They were like, "Look at this."
Do we still have the original copy?
It's out there. It's out there.
So Eric, are you insinuating that all white people weren't for slavery?
Oh, I know all white people were not for slavery. A lot of them were indifferent. I'm gonna tell you something else, man. A lot of white folks, although they may have been indifferent to the black people being enslaved, what they were not indifferent to was paid jobs, and a lot of them felt like if they get rid of slavery, then there'll be more jobs for white people that don't have jobs. Because there were white people that owned slaves. Is like the greater reason for us to own these slaves is that if we set them free, we're not going to be enslaved. We're not going to be able to enslave white people. We're going to have to pay them. So we need to keep these slaves so we continue not having to pay anybody, which ultimately is what happened.
Free labor.
Which is ultimately what happened. The slaves got freed. They didn't want to give our people jobs, and they were like, "Bump it." Well, if we got to pay somebody, so a lot of white folks that weren't working wanted to be working, and if they could get rid of the slaves, they would have jobs.
So that pretty much forced black people to go and be sharecroppers because they didn't have, and then even in that it was like legal hustle. Like
legal
man.
They didn't pay them nothing.
What we do?
And then they extorted them too.
Come on, man. Crop didn't do too well. Master said Crop didn't do too well, y'all. All he give us, but he did give us these 2 here potatoes.
Since we talking about free labor, this is the perfect time to mention this, Eric. And I want to ask you this: Why ain't no politics or no politicians, especially on the so-called Democrat side, who says they're for Black Lives Matter and everything else? Why they ain't never talking about reparations? And why ain't nobody trying to get that? Why is that not a topic that's at the forefront that should be for the labor that our ancestors went through in this country?
I don't know that to be true. My understanding is it comes up a lot, and I pay attention. There are bills that have been introduced by numerous people in the Democratic Party, and now Cory Booker's been screaming loudly for, look, we need to do a serious study on how we're gonna get our people paid back for this. You know. So I don't know that to be true, Eric.
Okay, because I haven't heard anything. So, and I know that you listen. You know, you got your ears to the
political
the mountains up top. So,
but let me throw
I
you
wanted
this
to ask you
curveball,
that
too.
because we never hear nothing about that. If it does, it's just for a minute and it's just going away. So that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Eric, what about I know Elder Eric talked about the Democrat. What about the Republican Party? Is there anybody from what you understand? Have you heard anyone talking about it in the Republican Party?
Some of them. Some of them. I mean, a lot of people want to get this done. Want to get some degree of compensation for our folks on both sides of the aisle.
And I also want to ask the question: if it do happen, how do you think that should be distributed? How should it be distributed?
I'm cashing my check at the liquor store. Give me a 40 St. Ives and a bag of them barbecue skins to go with it.
Why, man?
Because I'm stupid.
Go ahead, Eric. What was your answer to that?
I don't have a definitive answer for that, because every time it comes up amongst people that I'm dealing with that are actually working on it or have some incentive to work on it, I have mixed feelings on it, man.
Right.
As to what, I mean, for me, I'm not mixed on for me as an individual. I want cash, but I don't know that's the right method for the whole group. And I also think the first in line should be those that got concrete proof of the history of slavery. I've got pictures, letters, and photographs of my great-great-grandparents who were born into slavery.
Okay.
So I go to the front of the line, but then there's other folks, they may not have that information, but it may be there.
Well,
it may be just 4 generations out too.
Listen,
just like I am.
Let me ask you this question in that same vein, and you can. I think I heard that there were sharecroppers back then, not sharecroppers, but slave owners that are actually wanting reparations for the lost wages of the emancipation of Black folks.
Yeah.
Like my business I lost my business because the slaves got freed. So families are actually seeking some reparations.
That's true. That's true.
Man, what in the world?
Yes, sir.
They got an argument. I don't want.
They got folks that are actually arguing. My great grandpappy had 30 slaves, and when they freed the slaves, my great grandpappy lost his business. Therefore, I'm in this perpetual state of struggle today, and they're looking for some reparations for real.
And they got a strong argument for it. I hope they don't get it.
Yo, man, what are we talking?
Yes, sir.
Strong argument, because the government has historically done that since its inception. If the government does something that they take from you that you were using legally for and they say you can't have it anymore, they paid compensation. The only people that didn't get compensation paid is the slave owners. I'm going to tell you another one, man. There's a lot of jokers out here, and I consider them jokers, but they got an argument, too. They're like, well, if you're a descendant of a slave and a slave master, you on both sides, so you get canceled out.
Listen, hold on.
Yo, Eric, hold on, man. Wait a minute. What in the world is going on here, man?
Open a can of worms.
I'm finna really open one now.
There's folks that really believe that, man.
Watch this.
They believe if your great-great-grandfather was a slave owner who went into the slave hut and got your great-great-grandmother pregnant, then although your great-great-grandmother was a slave, your great-great-grandfather was a slave owner, so you don't deserve any reparations because you get canceled out. You on both sides.
No. Watch this. While we're talking about this, for the radio listeners and anybody that's listening on YouTube, internet, there is a episode in the series Atlanta, the last season. I think it's episode 3 or 4, 1 or 2. The whole episode is about black folks getting reparations from white people. It's crazy. It's like people are being put on programs. Like, say, for instance, if you white and you own my great-great-granddaddy, you got to pay me reparations. So they got a system set up where you working off your debt to pay me back my reparation. It's crazy.
Hey.
Go look at it. It's from that movie Atlanta.
In the series
The
Atlanta?
series, this last episode, and I thought it was funny because they were talking about reparations, that it would be included inside this last series. Right. I think it's the second or third episode in this last season. It talks about us getting reparations. It's you got to watch it.
So Eric, let me ask you this: Is it true? Because I heard something on the internet streets, something about America was either preparing or was supposed to give reparations to Africa or something like that for slavery or something. It was something that I didn't look fully into it, but that's something that you heard?
I don't know all the facts on that. I've heard it. But I encourage y'all, when y'all done with the broadcast for the day, sometime before the next broadcast, look and see what bills have been introduced to Congress on reparations. You'll see that they're out there. They're out there. I wouldn't want you to walk around here thinking that folks aren't working on it, who are government officials are not aggressively working on it.
So why are we not hearing about it, though? Like.
Well, you ain't paying attention enough. That's the truth.
Well, no. I get what you're saying, but no, what I mean by it, why we're not seeing any of this on, CNN, NBC.
Right.
In fact, start with CNN. They've been talking about it on CNN for years.
Talking about it, Eric, is I understand talking about it, but I'm talking about it.
I'm just saying, man, it's just awfully funny how bills can get passed like it ain't nothing. But when it comes to black folk, we got all these stalls and gridlocks and all this other stuff.
That's my
point.
The
Asian folk, they get their bill passed. The Jews get their bill passed. All this, it's like, man, it's gridlock. It's like, man, I don't get there. Everybody got an argument. Well, if they gonna get something, then I got an argument over here too because I lost money because I owned a slave and man, look, this stuff is crazy, man.
Do the three of y'all know for sure? Like, can you name the relative? Do you know for sure that you're descended from a slave?
Yes.
You can all name the relative.
Yeah.
Get as much information on that person as you possibly can. It may not happen to where in our late 60s or 70s, but it's probably gonna happen. So have that documentation ready.
Okay.
Because even if it don't benefit you, remember, we talked about this before. Once you make a child. Once you procreate it, they may make somebody 10 generations down who you ain't never gonna see. So don't come up short for somebody that's 10 generations behind, coming up after you, when you could have done something for them while you were living.
All right.
You didn't know the person that was your parent 10 generations back. You can't give a name or a face to them. They're gonna know you.
All right. Hey, listen, everyone that is listening on YouTube, those that are listening live and the replay, Eric, could you rephrase what you just said about that, getting as much information as you can, because it may be when we 60, 70 years old or something like, at least our children can have the information. Would you rephrase it and give them the information on what you just said again?
If you know, or if you have information to find out who your parent was that was in slavery in the United States, that was your parent, okay? Maybe it been your great-great-great, but it's still your parent. You couldn't have got here without that person.
And most of that would be done doing. I'm sorry, but I just want to interject this right quick. Most of that it'll be done through DNA testing, correct?
Nah, you need some government documents.
Okay.
And or some good parent, some good lineage from your bloodline, to show that, this person lived, this is how this person lived, and this person was one of my parents.
Okay.
So that when it does come up, I know for sure the people that can prove it are going to the front of the line. I know that for sure. Like if you could show that you Casey's son or daughter, or Eric's son or daughter, and they're like, we're giving money to their daughters and sons, and you got proof, you're going to the front of the line. Somebody you might have came along from that chick on the other side of the town might be short. As far as this goes, You just gotta track it, man, and stay on top. And the more information you have, the better. Because if you got some information how they were shorted in life after they were free, trying to get good jobs and stuff like that, that's gonna add to your case.
Well, what would a good place for me to start at if I wanted to start?
It would have to depend on what you know already. It would really have to depend on what you already know.
What about the census report? Is that that's good? Okay.
Yep, census, but there should be some information inside your bloodline. If you could track it like that, that's usually better. Yeah. Like your grandparents knew a lot of times, most people, black folks, their grandparents knew who their grandparents were.
Yeah.
You know, and their grandparents knew who their grandparents were. You know, I'm sitting here talking to you right now at my desk, and I'm looking at a photo of my great-great-grandmother. She lived into the 1940s. She made it to 100. She was born into slavery. And right above her photograph that was taken in the 1940s, shortly before she died, is her wedding certificate with my great-great-grandfather when they were married in 1878. They were teenagers.
Well, there it is right there for me. My cousin Eric and my grandmama and them give us our money.
Right.
Give us our money.
Because most of us is related.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Give us our money.
It's so many dots that you connect dealing with that, man. Thank you for sharing that with us, Brother Eric. But yeah, we definitely need to know that information. Because,
and please take that last part seriously.
That's right.
Try to track as much about what happened to their life once they became free, because that gives more evidence to the case. It's like, look, even after they were free, they still had to live like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And their kids were born into this type of lifestyle because of that, and then so forth and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the measuring stick, because it's so many millions of us. I think the measuring stick is going to be kind of what Eric is saying. Well, hey, whoever got all the proof, hey, you come to the front of the line. The rest of y'all, we'll worry about y'all later.
Right.
Whatever. I think that's going to be the measuring stick to control how much is distributed and who gets it. So I think that's definitely some valuable information to look into. And I think most of us, with the census is very important. Before we get out of here, Eric, any other encouraging things you want to tell us and tell the people that we should be looking out for coming down the pipe?
The Browns will be the Super Bowl champs.
Boy, stop. You taking something.
I didn't mean for that to come out.
You taking some expired medication. You need to take that ball on the table, Eric. Your medication
Cleveland Browns, man. He had to drop that on us, man.
Your faith must have jumped through the roof.
Hey, Eric, appreciate it, man, once again. But definitely.
Here's the one.
Uh-huh.
If you really want to hear some conversations for some real-life people that were slaves, go to the Library of Congress's website and look up Voices from the Days of Slavery, and you'll be able to hear some real interviews from the 1930s of people that were actually slaves. And let that be your incentive to do what we were just talking about in the broadcast. Voices from the Days of Slavery. Go to the Library of Congress. You can pull it up online, and you will hear some interviews for some real former slaves. Those aren't actors.
Hey, man. Hey, appreciate that, Brother Eric, man. We'll talk to you later on, man. Blessings to you.
Peace and blessings.
All right. Everybody, thank y'all for tuning in once again. This is B.O.O.M Radio. You listen to it. This is Bishop Brown, man. Hey, y'all definitely tune in. Check out the website, boomchurchint.org.
All right, and definitely go over to YouTube. Go to B.O.O.M Church at YouTube, B-O-O-M Church, and look us up. You're welcome to check out the videos and, hey, hit us up.
Hey, man, next week, man, we're going to have often time. This time next week, we'll be at the Jeremiah 23-3 conference in Cartersville, Georgia.
That's right.
Looking to have a great time in the Most. I got some powerful speakers coming down the pipeline.
Powerful performers, too.
Hallelujah.
That's right.
Including you, Minister Casey.
That's right.
I am?
Hallelujah.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
you are.
Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom to everyone. Thank y'all for tuning in. Peace.
Shabbat shalom.
To those no. Zoom, zoom.
Zoom, zoom.
Yeah, you probably got somebody.